Have you ever wondered to yourself why your CV isn't landing interviews? Well, being a hiring manager for multiple different organizations and reviewing hundreds of different CVs, and in fact, applying for my own different contracts, I've definitely seen some different clues in terms of how you can improve your prospects of getting that interview. Let's talk to it because it's a very difficult market right now. So, in today's video, we're going to be talking about essentially how we can explore the different ways in which we can improve your CV and understand the number one reason why it's not working for you. So don't forget to like and subscribe as always. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Michael Tabirade. I'm an independent management consultant and founder of the consultancy, the Mastery Group. Now let's get into it. Now your CV is more than just a document. It's really important to understand this because essentially the CV is the thing that gets you closer to potentially getting that key job. So if you think about like this, the CV is supposed to act as a marketing tool. Okay, it's a marketing tool that positions you or puts you in front of the individuals who can allow you to get the income that you need or create the desired sort of career portfolio that you're looking for. And so the energy, the effort, the imagination that goes into producing a solid CV is crucial. Okay, you can't underlook it. So let's look at this in a bit more detail. So essentially your CV should highlight your key expertise, your key skills, the things that you've done extremely good in, your value proposition, so to speak. Let's think about it. When it comes to your CV, your name is at the top, usually in bold, with your sort of like personal information just underneath it. Then you have your profile. That profile is your statement, okay? Is your statement to basically highlight the specific expertise and or skills or experience that you have in 3 or 4 different lines with wide margins or whatever it may be. There's typically a section where you can focus on expertise and skills and then talk about relevant experience, highlighting benefits and or achievements or results that you've actually like achieved, your outputs. And so thinking about it logically, you're trying to make a statement, a clear statement that people understand, and then you're working your way down, breaking down your experience in a bit more detail. So really important stuff to understand here. And so when thinking about your CV, approach it like a business pitch. You have to, because this is your ticket to getting commercial viability. In other words, making more money. Okay, so let's think about the next step, which I've kind of like outlined in this video so far. So structure is everything. So what do I mean by this? When I am reviewing CVs, I hate it. I say this with a passion. I hate seeing poor structure. I hate things that don't make sense. I hate things that don't have a good, rhythm or flow. I hate things that are just out of whack. So there is a way to do a CV. I explained it previously before. So stick to that way. Don't try to do anything that's too unusual or anything like that. You need to try to make sure that the person, or you're giving the person, the biggest opportunity to understand that you're the right person for the role. And this is the way I see it, yeah. If your CV doesn't have the right level of structure, you're basically saying that you're not sound of mind, you're not clean with your thinking, it's not efficient, so to speak, and therefore, like, I'm not really going to choose you. You may have amazing skills or whatever it may be, but your presentation skills are not banging. And so you're going to be marked on that if I'm your person. So, when thinking about, let's say, for example, the structure and how everything's put together, wide margins, main big sort of like title at the top, and also you want to have like the sections just separated. So maybe you want to have a line underneath each section, or maybe you just want to have like neat space. The font, the formatting, it just needs to be neat. It just has to be in that way. Okay, a clean layout is good, because again, when thinking about your CV, and I may show you an example actually, you have to think to yourself, how, like, what am I doing to increase the opportunity to being selected? Whether that's via a bot, so this ATS scanning thing that hiring managers and recruitment agencies use, or whether that's a person. So these are the things to consider and to think about. Next, I want to talk about achievements. Okay, so achievements must be tangible. Okay, and I'll talk more about this tangibility in a second. But essentially, when thinking about this stuff, you want to think to yourself, whatever I achieved, can it be measured? Did I make money? Did I save money? Did I make something more efficient? Is there a percentage that I can add to it? Is there a quality change that can happen? Really, the measurement is what it was before to what it is now. Was there an improvement within that gap? That's what you're looking at. So where do you put this stuff? So let's say, for example, you're a project manager, you have your experience lined out in terms of the responsibilities, like logically highlighted against the methodology like Prince 2 or Agile, whatever it may be. And then what you want to do is make sure that you have some sort of achievement at the end. Okay, and I'll show you an example at some point. So think about examples that you have put together in terms of achievements you've had in different organizations. And if you didn't directly do it, how did you indirectly support that? You know, you may have been in a support role or facilitation role, whatever it may be. How did you support the development of that output or result? Because if you can have ownership of that, it gives you more confidence, because confidence is linked to competence. And so it's about how you articulate this stuff. And so when we're thinking about articulation, I want to talk to you about the P.A.R model. I've spoken about this before. P.A.R stands for problem, action, result. Problem, action, result. And so when it comes to the P.A.R model, okay, and I went through this process, and this is the way I'm going to talk about it. Essentially what I did was I went down memory lane, I looked at my CV, and I tried to understand what strategic problem I was solving, okay? So again, let's say you are a project manager and you were trying to implement some sort of digital solution into a hospital, okay? Now, that digital solution was going to ensure that there was, I don't know, an efficiency in terms of how research is done, or there is an efficiency in terms of how it manages its money, or there was an efficiency in terms of how the HR solution was, you know, managed, or whatever it may be. Okay, so how did you contribute to that? Like thinking about that down the long term. But that was the problem. The strategic problem was trying to solve that because there was an opportunity to make more money and to increase capacity. Okay. And this was aligned to the hospital's strategic aims. That's how deep you need to be. What I did was I looked at every single specification and or policy linked to those different job experiences that I had. Do you have to go that deep? No. But that's the way I did it. One way you can use AI to accelerate this is to use that research platform. I think it is called, I'll think of the name. Once the name comes to me, I'll let you know. Okay. But it's escaped me for some reason. That's it. Perplexity. Use Perplexity. You can type in, give me the strategy for da 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 da, and it will show you everything that it's had based on what's been placed on the net. So that's one way of doing it. The second thing that I did was to outline the achievements. So what do I mean by this? When thinking about sort of like achievements, sorry, not even achievements, actions, should I say? When thinking about the actions, you have to align it to a methodology. So for example, again, as a project professional, you know at the beginning there is some sort of scoping or initiation phase. This is where you are gathering the ideas and formalizing it in such a way where it logically highlights what needs to be done, how much it costs, the different people that are required, the different people that need to be engaged, the risks and issues, the assumptions, all of these different things come into play. Then you move on to planning. Planning is the opportunity for you to essentially develop a step-by-step set of intercalated activities or tasks that highlight how you're going to achieve your deliverable and or goal. Then you're moving on to some level of delivery. Okay, so delivery will be encapsulated in what's actually done, but also managed and monitored through monitoring. So meetings, highlight reports, program boards, all of this kind of stuff. And then at some stage, there is a transition over to the business or the operations team, or it closes. Why do I know? Why am I saying this off the dome? Because I'm a project professional. I'm a project professional that understands what the project cycle looks like. And so if I'm your hiring manager, I would expect you to understand that too. And I need to see evidence of that threaded, weaved within your CV when it comes to roles and responsibilities under project management, as well as any sort of additional things that may pop up as a project manager, program manager, business analyst, whatever it may be. So you can see why logically it makes sense to make sure the methodology is weaved in, but you've evidenced that you actually had those roles and responsibilities. And then what we want to move on to is R, which is results. So this is, okay, based on all of this stuff, based on the problem that was being solved, and based on the actions that I took, this was the result. And if you don't know, again, from a PM standpoint, because those are the people I feel like I support the most, but again, it's there's multiple people that I can support. I feel like for those people, look at your deliverables, okay? Think about the benefits that were mapped out before. And if you didn't have that, then think about the PMO items. Track how many actions you took and actually resolved. Think about all the risks that you mitigated and all the issues that you mitigated. Think about all the escalations resolved. Think about all the procurements or contractors you commissioned in. Like, there are loads of things that have been done. Think about the documents that you've developed. When you think like this, then it gives you an assurance that actually you did deliver stuff, because sometimes we feel like we haven't done anything. So never feel like that. Never feel like you haven't done anything. And the way you do this is going through this process of the P.A.R model to evidence this stuff. Really think about it. The next thing I want to say is, I recognize when recently bringing in a project manager that I was so happy to see that they had certain soft skills. And they really evidenced this through the fact that actually they had a coaching qualification and they do coaching. They do coaching on the side. And so that to me told me that actually this person understands the benefits of active listening, effective questioning, using inner supervision to sort of manage people and themselves, understanding the role of feedback. So all of this stuff comes into play. And so they've had that training. And I know that is a certain type of training only certain types of people have, because I've had that training myself. Now, am I saying everyone needs to have a coaching qualification? No. But show some way that you've definitely been involved in developing your soft skills. Maybe it's a charity that you're part of that shows this. So I wouldn't shy away from this stuff at all. I think it's so key. I think it's so important. And I think it may allow you to stand out. I have my friend who said that she had embarked on emotional intelligence training, and they badged themselves as an emotional intelligence expert. And so again, it's fascinating because people position you in a different way. You're not just the process professional. You're the professional who has the soft skills to back it up professionally as well. So these are things to sort of like consider. But before we continue, I just want to ask you this question. When was the last time you updated your CV? Let's be like properly. I know some of us are juggling different CVs, but when was the last time you updated it? And does it reflect your key achievements or just list responsibilities? Let me know below. I'd like to know what the audience is saying, whether you're listening to this via podcast or watching this on YouTube. And of course, as you know already, and if you don't know, I help business leaders and professionals build their portfolio career approaching it like an independent consultant. So if you're looking to transition into contracting or consulting as an example, or if you're trying to get a promotion, or even if you're trying to articulate your value, okay, because you feel like you haven't really done that, then feel free to complete the form below and let's have a conversation in terms of how we can make those dreams a reality. Now, moving on, we've got professional qualifications. I believe they matter, okay? I really do believe they matter. And I'm not talking about whether you have necessarily done a degree or anything like that. I don't think that matters. But I do believe that if you show that you've been trained in a globally or nationally recognized vocational qualification such as MSP, Agile, Prince 2, Scrum Master, Change Management, the business analyst one that they do, the portfolio one that they do, all these different little things. Yeah, you're a professional. You're a professional. If you can show that you've used that stuff in what you've done, or at least you've understood it, that's perfectly fine. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, there was a time where I didn't have any of this stuff. I didn't have MSP. I didn't have change management. But what I did successfully was retrospectively understand that actually the stuff that I did before encompassed those elements. I just didn't have the awareness to know that was the case. And so if you need to do that, retrospectively look back and understand actually you were using that methodology, and that thing that you developed was actually a project initiation document, but you called it planning or something like that, then that there's an opportunity for you to start using that terminology, but it has to be accurate. You have to understand what you've done. So bear that in mind when it comes to, again, updating your CV. Here's a quick little bonus tip. You know me, I like a little bonus. Keep it concise. Keep it concise. It's so important for you to keep it concise. If you don't keep it concise, you're at danger of getting the hiring manager lost. Okay, and we don't want that. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this very quickly. Okay, so if I show you this CV document now, and you'll be able to see it properly. Hopefully you can see this properly. So again, you probably don't need your address. That's old school, so you can remove that. But I'll leave that to you if you want to include that. This can all be on one line. But essentially what you want to do is have your profile like this. Okay, you got your expertise element here. You got your key skills. And again, as I mentioned before, when it comes to the actual achievement that you're talking about, you want to be very clear about whether it has changed. Okay, decreased failure rate, increased this, etc., etc. Now, of course, if you want a copy of this CV template, just let me know. I'll definitely sort of like send it to you. It's probably behind some sort of like web page somewhere. I'll send you the link to that page and then you can check it out. So hopefully that's given you an idea in terms of like what that needs to look like and everything else. So we can keep it moving. Now, of course, when it comes to, you know, summarizing everything and all that kind of jazz, the first thing to remember is, number one, you want to make sure that you treat your CV like a business case, like a business pitch, like a business proposal. It's so important because if you don't, you're not treating it with respect. It's just not going to happen. Okay. The second thing is it needs to be well structured, and you have to have, you know, the right things like the profile, the expertise, the key skills, the relevant experience, etc., etc. All that kind of stuff. Frame it in the right way. Do you need to have available upon request? No, not necessarily. You can have that, but I don't think anyone really cares. If they're going to ask for your referees, they'll ask for your referees. It's that simple. You want to be honest and accurate, but you don't want to undersell. You do not want to undersell. Secondly, you want to make sure that you frame your experiences using problem, action, result. And I just want to sort of like edify this a little bit more. The P.A.R model doesn't necessarily need to be embedded fully within your relevant experience. The main key thing to highlight is the action and the result. If you want to highlight the problem, yeah, be my guest. I know some people who I've helped implement that in, and that's helped them, again, articulate what they actually achieved through using that. But you can just use action and result. It's totally up to you. So anyway, let's get back to it. And so then moving on from that, you want to use real life examples. You want to highlight this stuff. And this is why P.A.R is so important, because when it comes to interview, it doesn't matter what questions they're asking, you understand strategically what that looks like. That's the main thing. Like the problem bit allows you to understand things strategically. That's the key point I want to make here. Okay. You want to highlight relevant certifications and vocational studies that are relevant to the role, because you have to remember you want to have a good chunk of experience, whether that's 5 to 10 years worth, that highlights that you're the person for the role. I don't want to see some random stuff. Yes, if it's the fact that you're in a different role, let's say, for example, you were an implementation lead, or you were a project delivery manager or delivery lead. Do you have the skills to do project management? Probably yes. You probably have very similar skills. But how are you evidencing that, like, you've been involved in that space? In addition to that, are you in an industry that makes sense? That's another thing. Like, usually people will favor people in an industry over their skills at times, which I find ridiculous, because I believe in process consultants or contractors or professionals, but that can sometimes be the case. You see that a lot in the public sector. And so with that in mind, like, just remember that you have to capitalize on these opportunities if this is an advantage that you have. And you want to make sure that you have a well-structured CV that is roughly 2 pages long. Okay, it can be more. It's okay if it's more. I don't think it's that crazy, but nothing more than 3 in my mind. 1, great. 2, I think is ideal. 3, maximum. Like max. Okay, but I understand there's a lot of people with strong expertise who are watching this stuff. You'll listen to hiring managers who have different sort of views on this, but these are my views. I'm going from my hiring manager days. A lot of my hiring manager days have been within the public sector, mainly within the health sector, such as Department of Health, UKHSA, and the NHS, namely. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this, please let me know below. I'd love feedback from you, and I'd love to understand what sort of topics you'd like me to talk about next. Again, I haven't really explained this recently in a new fashion, but a lot of what I talk about is centered around portfolio careers. Really talking about, okay, the fact that the world is changing. It's just changing. And so with that change, we need to be in a position where we are comfortable with understanding how we can grab opportunities. That's what the portfolio career is basically a career that you create as opposed to follow. And so you'll see it such as multifaceted or multi-dimensional or multi whatever. There's all these different ones. You may have seen the squiggly careers that, I think there's two ladies who talk about this stuff. It's all the same thing. It's just how you can capitalize on opportunities. And on this channel, for me, I talk heavily about contracting and independent consulting, amongst many other things. But it's all bannered or all sort of like under the heading of career. So it's helping you articulate your value well, positioning yourself for the next opportunity and then capitalizing on that so you can get more opportunities as well. So you can see the spectrum that is involved within this space. If you want to see more videos centered around portfolio careers, life management, leadership, my life, whatever it may be, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, my friends, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.